Welcome back to the Rebellion Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Staker. Okay, for today, top 10 reasons the UNLV men's basketball team will be an NCAA tournament team this year. Top 10 reasons why you can expect this team to be better than last year and to be the best team we've had in over a decade. Okay, that's what today's episode's about. That's what I'm going to go over today. All right, if this is your first time ever listening to this podcast, I have a lot of other episodes that if you're a diehard Rebel fan, I think you'd really enjoy. For example, I have the top 20 most talented players in the last 20 years. I ranked them 20 all the way down to number 1. I have best analytical lineup. I have top 5 players to exceed expectations, so players who came into the program and ended up being much better than we thought they would. And then I also have top 5 players who, unfortunately, were kind of a disappointment. I rank my top 10 favorite Rebels ever. Okay, I have an episode where I review the entire roster for this upcoming season. I go over each player, strengths, weaknesses, comparisons, best and worst case scenario, just giving you a good idea about the team we have this upcoming season, right? I also have an episode where I talk about what it's like to be a UNLV basketball fan. Any diehard, anyone who's been a fan for a really long time, you want to check this episode out. You'll be able to feel my pain. So for today's episode, let's going back to the top 10 reasons, right? So the first reason why Rebel fans should be excited for this upcoming season and why we will be better this year is a young man by the name of Dedan Thomas Jr. Now, I know I'm doing top 10 reasons why the Rebels are going to be better this upcoming season, but if I had to give you just one reason, basically a shorter version of this episode, one reason why the Rebels will be better, one reason why Rebel fans should be excited and optimistic, it's because of Dedan Thomas. DJ Thomas is, I'll just start off by saying he is a better player than his stats suggest. Okay? People that don't know the ins and outs of the UNLV basketball program, who just look at stats and say, okay, oh, UNLV's returning a freshman who averaged 13 points and 5 assists. I'm telling you, there's a lot more to basketball than stats. Which is why DJ should have won Freshman of the Year in the conference over JT Toppin. I'm not going to go down that road right now. I talk about that a lot in another episode. Or at the very least, there should have been no debate on whether they were co-Freshman of the Year or not. That aside, so why is he a better player than his stats suggest? This dude is just built different. I have watched every minute he has played in his college basketball career. Sometimes I've watched games more than once, okay? And I am still at awe and in utter disbelief how good he was his freshman year as an 18-year-old true freshman that was supposed to still be in high school. Okay? He has a very high basketball IQ and just natural instincts. It's just some players were just born to play a certain role or to play a certain position. He sees things before it happens. Okay, you have a lot of guards out there that can put up big stats, but they don't have the natural IQ to just predict things, know where everyone is supposed to be, know what's going to happen before the defense does. That's DJ Thomas. Okay? He also plays his best basketball, his best games when it matters the most. Okay? So look, there's some players that you watch them in pickup games, you watch them in exhibition games or practice, in stuff that doesn't matter that much, and they look like an NBA talent. They don't miss, they're unstoppable, they're just like extremely good. And then you'll take those same players and you put them in a real game in front of a big crowd, in front of a bunch of fans heckling them, playing against a defense, a well-coached defense that has a plan to shut everyone down, okay? And then they'll crumble, okay? They can't take the pressure. That player that kills it in pickup games and in practice no longer kills it, no longer looks like the player that they appeared to be, okay? DJ Thomas is the opposite. Okay, when you put him in that environment, in that scenario, he plays his best basketball. Okay? evident by the fact that go look at his stats, go rewatch the games, the biggest games he played in, the toughest competition he went up against, that is when he performed at an elite level. He played his best basketball. That is something you cannot teach. He was born that way. Okay? And we have him as our point guard. We have him as our leader. Okay? And you all should be extremely excited about that, because he's going to be even better this upcoming season than he was last season, which, holy crap, I'm excited for it. He's going to be the best point guard in the Mountain West Conference, no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. And he's going to be a top 10 point guard in the nation. Yes, I understand someone could say, like, dude, you're biased. You're a diehard Rebel fan. Of course you think DJ Thomas is going to be the best point guard in the conference and the best. Yeah, I understand that. Call me whatever you want. Okay? Call me biased. Call me a homer. You know, you could say that I all my opinions are based off of looking through red glasses, and that's how I see everything, through those lenses, because I'm, you know, a UNLV fan. Whatever, fine. I don't care. I know I'm right. DJ Thomas will be the best point guard and most likely the best overall player in the Mountain West Conference this year, and we have him on our team. He's our guy. We are extremely lucky to have him. I can't even tell you how lucky we are to have this guy. According to my sources, allegedly, he was offered double the amount NIL that he is getting at UNLV to transfer to the University of Houston. Why did they offer him such ridiculous money? Because they see what I see. They see how amazing he is and how amazing he's going to be. He hasn't even scratched the surface yet of the type of player that he's capable of. I remember, I read it somewhere that someone in Mountain West ranked the players and preseason stuff, and they ranked Dedan Thomas the 4th best point guard in the Mountain West and had no UNLV players on their first team. I couldn't help but laugh. It was the worst take I've read in quite some time. That is someone that does not know what we have here at UNLV. That is someone that probably has not watched Dedan Thomas play, other than maybe a couple highlights. Okay, number 2, carrying over momentum from last season. Last season, that was the first time we actually ended the season off on a high note. Not the Seton Hall game, that didn't go so well, but overall, the last month, we were a good basketball team, okay? We did unfortunately lose in the first game of the Mountain West Conference tournament again to San Diego State again, so that wasn't fun. But we were playing without Caleb Boone, and we still came so close to winning that game, all right? And then we got into the NIT, and we took care of business. That last home game against Boston College was a blast. It was the most fun I've had at a UNLV game in a long time, okay? It was one of the best crowds we've had all season. You know, in terms of like numbers, the actual number of people there, it wasn't like a big number. But what happened was they shut off the whole upper deck. So all the people were condensed down into the lower deck. And then what it did is it kind of gave off this illusion that we had, like a sold out packed crowd, right? Because there was no empty seats in the bottom deck. Okay, so fans that were at that game, they remember how fun it was. They remember the energy in the building, how well the team played and how loud it got in there. And that was fun. That was like sort of bringing back memories of what we used to have, okay, when we used to fill up the Thomas and Mack. So the people that were at that game, they're going to remember that, and we are carrying that momentum over to next season, all right? Winning 2 postseason games, which we haven't done in many years. Returning some quality players. There's reason to be optimistic. So, number 2, carrying over that momentum from last season. Number 2 reason, okay? Number 3 reason, all of our best players had their best games against the best competition. When I say our best players, I mean the guys that are projected to be our best players. So it's a combination of players returning and the new guys coming in, okay? So starting off with Dedan Thomas, okay? Best scoring performances against the toughest competition, all right? So he had 29 points against a ranked San Diego State in the Mountain West Conference tournament. He's put the team on his back nearly willed us to victory. Absolutely sensational performance. He had 23 points against a ranked Colorado State, 25 points against a ranked New Mexico on the road, sold-out arena, head-to-head against Jalen House, giving him the business, right? He had 24 against St. Mary's, who was a 5 seed, and won the West Coast Conference. He had 19 points at home against San Diego State, making the game winner and finally getting us over the hump of beating San Diego State. That was because of him. So DJ's best games were against the best teams, all right? And then Jalen Bedford, our new incoming star transfer, okay, he had his best games against the best competition. 26 points against a ranked Texas Tech on the road. That Texas Tech team was really good. I believe they were a 4 seed in the tournament. He also had 23 points on the road against Kansas State. Okay, so the best teams he played against on his schedule, he went off against. Okay, Jaden Henley, okay, another transfer. He had 19 points against Marquette. Marquette was a 2 seed. Marquette was one of the best teams in the country. 19. He also had 15 points against UConn, the team that won the national championship back-to-back and is in the conversation for one of the greatest teams ever. He had 15 against them. Julian Rishwain, a guy who's not even projected or predicted to be our starter, had his best games against really, really good teams. He had 20 points against Gonzaga in the West Coast Conference tournament. Okay, he had a big, big game against a team that I believe was a 1 seed that year. Okay, he also had 25 points on the road against a ranked BYU team. His career high was in a hostile environment against a really good BYU team. Okay, playing at BYU is not easy. UNLV used to have to do it twice a year. Okay, it's not easy. He dropped 25 on their heads. Next, Jalen Hill. He had his career high 26 points against Alabama. Alabama was a 1 seed that year. Okay, there was a highlight where he had a fast break and he dunked on Brandon Miller, the number 2 pick in the draft. Really awesome stuff. Okay, he also had 18 points against a ranked Florida, 17 points against a ranked Baylor. Okay, and these were all when he played for Oklahoma. Some great performances for Hill. All right, and then last we got Rob Whaley. He had 21 points against a 1 seed Princeton, NIT 1 seed. Okay, 18 points against Boise State on the road. Complete dominant performance that game. And then he also had 16 points at home against a ranked New Mexico squad. Okay, so why am I saying all this? Why is all this relevant? Because it's clear that these guys aren't going to be afraid of anyone, right? It's not like when we play Memphis, and there's this talented team warming up on the other end of the court that our guys are going to be, nervous or buckle under the pressure. No, they're going to bring it, okay? Because they've proven that. All of our best players have shown that they can show up and put up big scoring numbers against the best competition, okay? Yeah, and I realize someone could look at this and be like, well, they also only had 4 points against Utah Tech State on February. I don't care. That's not my point. My point is these guys are showing what they're capable of, which is going off against the best competition. All right, reason number 4. Improved shooting. This one is more of a prediction than it is, more of a concrete fact. But I do believe we will have a better shooting team this year. Okay? We did lose Justin Webster, who I still don't know how good of a shooter he really was, because he was like a lights-out shooter his junior year, and then senior year he just dropped off significantly. Okay, we also lost Keelan Boone, who did not start the season off shooting well, but by the end of the season was shooting really well. All right? We replaced those guys with some dudes that can light it up. So, first of all, Julian Rishwain, 37% for his career, but this is a guy who has proven that he can go off. He's had multiple games where he's hit 5, 6, 7 3-pointers. Okay, so he's going to be a guy most likely coming off the bench who can get really hot. Okay, Jalen Bedford, another proven scorer/shooter. He shot really well at Oral Roberts. I am expecting him to shoot even better this year because he's playing alongside DJ Thomas, who's a pass-first point guard. Okay, DJ is going to drive, cause the defense to collapse on him, to take away the driving lane or to try and take away an easy bucket. He's just going to kick out to guys for open threes. So I expect Bedford to be an even better shooter than he was last year at Oral Roberts. Okay, Jace Whiting shot 50% from three at Boise. He's a very good shooter. The defense is not going to be keen on him. They're going to be keen on whoever else is out there. Okay, so it's going to allow Whiting to have some open threes. All right, so I think Brooklyn Hicks is going to show that he's an elite shooter. Okay, he had limited minutes last year, but he made the best of it, shooting 40% from three. So I think we can expect to see some big things from him shooting the ball. Okay, Jaden Henley, same reason for Bedford. This guy is going to show that he is a better shooter than the poor percentage he put up last year at his previous school. Okay, he is going to play with DJ Thomas, who is going to find him open. He's going to hit open threes. He's going to shoot a better percentage this upcoming season. Also, I'm getting reports back from practice, people that have been at the practice watching the team. They're saying these guys are lighting it up. All right, DJ Thomas shot 36% last year as a freshman. He's absolutely worked on that shot all offseason, and he's going to be an even better shooter. He's going to shoot a higher percentage, and he's going to take more attempts. So this will be a better shooting team than we had last year. Okay, reason number 5. This is Kevin's first well-rounded roster. To be a good basketball team, you got to have a good balance of everything. Okay, you put together a team based off of certain strengths and attributes, and you put it together almost like you're making a puzzle, right? You can't have a whole team of guys who are just shooters, but they can't drive, they can't pass, they can't defend, they can't rebound. Okay, you got to have all of that to have a good basketball team. This year's team has size, scoring, experience, athleticism, and depth at each position. Okay, Kevin's first 3 years as a coach, as a head coach, those rosters had glaring weaknesses. If I had to pick what Kevin's biggest mistake has been thus far in his tenure, it's that he's had holes in the rosters he put together. He put together rosters that had pretty big weaknesses, okay? For example, in Kevin's first season, he didn't have anyone to help Hamilton scoring the ball, okay? We really struggled to have guys that could get us a bucket when we needed it. Okay, Donovan Williams was a very good player, but he was more of just an elite talent as opposed to a guy that can just get you a bucket when you need it most, right? So pretty much all we had was Hamilton, which is why he had the highest usage rate in school history. Okay, like literally you can go look up the all-time advanced statistics. Hamilton had 3 of the top 4 highest usage rate seasons in UNLV basketball history. Okay, the ball was in his hands the entire time. It's not going to be that way with this upcoming team. This upcoming season, we have multiple players that can score, multiple players that can handle the ball, multiple players that are going to want the ball in a close game, okay? Also, we didn't have post players that could score the ball his first or second year. Royce Ham was a great defensive player, a great rebounder. I loved that dude and how he played, okay? He just struggled offensively. He wasn't very good at scoring consistently around the rim. He didn't have the best touch down low. He missed a lot of bunnies, okay? And he was the best center on our team by far. Okay, we didn't really have any guys that could just post up and just get you a bucket, okay? Similar to what Caleb Boone could do last year. Caleb Boone was a really good post scorer, and it was so nice having that last year. And then Kevin's second year, even worse. We had a lot of good guards, good wing players, okay, a lot of options in the backcourt. But our big men that got the most minutes, David Mawaka and Victor Iwakor. Okay? Those guys were pretty good defensive players. They were okay rebounding, not great. They were not horrible. But they just did not give us any offense. And it killed us. It really killed us. So this season, we are going to have bigs that can score the ball. Bear Cherry, he's going to be able to score the ball. He's going to be very solid offensively for us, and he can finish under the rim. Jalen Hill, he can score the ball. He's had multiple 18-plus point scoring games in his career. Rob Whaley, we already know that he can score the ball. He's a beast down low. He's not very tall, but he makes up for it with his weight, his length, and his athleticism. Okay? So we have several players that can score the ball that are big men. Okay? Did not have that Kevin's first 2 years. His second year, that team was way too short and had no rebounding. All right? We often put out lineups where we had Luis Rodriguez at the 4 and Victor Iwakor at the 5. That is too short. That is too short of a team. Now, is height everything in basketball? No, but it's pretty damn important. Let's not act like it isn't. And so when we played Boise and San Diego State, they kicked the crap out of us because they just killed us down low. They killed us on the boards. It was very frustrating, okay? So this season, we have size. We have rebounding, hopefully. I think we're going to have rebounding, okay? We brought in Jalen Bedford, a guard, who averaged more rebounds than I think 90% of the post players we've had in the last 10 years. If you don't believe me, Google it. Go look it up. Okay, we've had like 4 post players in the last 10 years average more rebounds than Jalen Bedford did last year. It's crazy. So yeah, to conclude that one, our most well-rounded, well-balanced roster we've had, not just in Kevin's tenure, but in many years. All right. Reason number 6, depth. Top to bottom, we have tons and tons of depth on this team. We have good players at each position. More talent top to bottom than we've had, I would say, since Dave Rice. Those Dave Rice teams were loaded. I don't know if we'll ever be that talented ever again, sad to say, with the NIL era we're in now. Okay? Because getting those players will cost way too much money. All right? So this is the most depth we've had. We have better players coming off the bench than the previous seasons. I'll be honest, if you compare from a sheer talent perspective, this year's starting 5 with last year's starting 5, and we don't know who the starting 5 is going to be yet, but it's my point's still the same. You could make a legitimate argument that last year's starting 5 had more talent. I don't believe that, but you could make that argument because the Boone twins and Luis Rodriguez, those were some really talented players. They were really talented. Okay, so I will give you can make that argument that last year's team had more talent in the starting 5. Top to bottom, though, it's not close. This team, whoever our second team is, the 5 best players that aren't starting, I truly believe that team could get 7th or 8th in the Mountain West, okay, without any of the starters. I truly believe that. With the talent and the experience and everyone we have, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. Okay. It's going to help us a ton, and I'm excited because it's, God forbid, we have injuries. You know, guys are in foul troubles. We're going to have some really good players coming off the bench, so I love it. Okay, reason number 7, size. This is the biggest team I think we have ever had. And I'm saying biggest and not tallest because it's not just height. We have dudes that have some weight to them, okay? Bear Cherry, he's a big, big boy. He's like 6'11", 270. Isaiah Cottrell, he's 6'11", 235, 240. Isaiah Cottrell is the size of an average NBA center, and he's like the 3rd biggest guy on our team. Okay, and then we have Rob Whaley, who's just an absolute truck. Okay, the guy's like 260, 270. He has these giant tree trunk legs, these wide hips, and he's just a big, big boy. He's a beast. Okay, well, we also have Papa Njai, 7-foot freshman. Okay. We have Jacob Benarby. He's 6'9", 240. I mean, he's big. I saw him in person. He's a big dude. Okay, this team is big. All right, we have not had this. You know, I'd have to I know traditionally Tark never went after the 7-foot centers. Like those guys typically went to more prestigious universities. Tark centers were usually 6'8", 6'9", and athletic. So I know Tark didn't have a lot of super tall teams. And then I can remember the rosters over the last 20 years. This is the tallest team we ever had. Jaden Henley, he's a 6'7" guard. Okay, so we're really tall, we're really big this year, and that's going to help us tremendously rebounding the ball and defending. Okay, because when you have height and you have length, you can cover more ground. Okay, number 8, we have more ball handling help for DJ. Last year's team, we had one player who was a really good ball handler who could handle pressure, who you could trust him for the most part, because even he had his moments. You could trust him for the most part in a high-pressured, full-court press situation, game on the line. you knew he wasn't going to turn the ball over, okay? We had one player, which is why we were the worst team in the Mountain West, probably one of the worst teams in the country last year against a press. I don't know. I don't have any advanced stats. I would love to know what our turnover rate was in the last 5 minutes of a close game. It's the reason we blew so many leads, and it's the reason why I am still getting therapy today. So frustrating. So we have more players now that can handle the ball, players that are smart, all right? Jace Whiting, prime example. He got playing time at Boise State, not because he was going to go in and drop 20 points, not because he was going to blow by his man and dunk on someone and get the crowd into it. No, because he was solid. He wasn't going to turn the ball over. He was going to run the offense. Coach could trust him. All right? That's why sometimes you see players play big minutes, then you look at their stats and you think, well, they're not good. They only averaged 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 1 assist. Well, trust me, the coach knows what they're doing a lot more than you do, so that player is out there for some reason, okay? So that's going to be Jace Whiting. Also, Jalen Bedford, he's a really good ball handler. He has some nice handles, okay? His turnover numbers weren't bad, so I'm not worried, about him turning the ball over in a pressured situation. But the point is, we have help. DJ has help. He did not have that last year. Last year, Luis Rodriguez was our shooting guard. Luis Rodriguez, love him to death. He was not a shooting guard. He was more of a 3-4, okay? We had to play him as shooting guard in order to get our best players on the court together. And it really helped us defensively. But it did not help us against the press. It did not help us in any type of situation in which you want ball handlers and passers, true guards, okay? We have that this year, okay? We have multiple players who can help DJ Thomas with quote-unquote point guard stuff, if you will, all right? Reason number 9, we have more experience returning than we have had in years past. One of the worst parts about being a UNLV basketball fan is having a brand new team every year because so many players leave. With Dave Rice, it was everyone declaring for the NBA even though they had no chance of being drafted. And now it's just the day and age we're in. If you're not happy, you transfer. The grass is always greener on the other side, right? So we actually have some really good experience returning to this team. Dedan Thomas averaged 35 minutes per game last year, okay? That's some incredible experience. That's awesome. He's coming back. Jalen Hill, he's averaged 30 minutes a game pretty much his entire career. He played big minutes at Oklahoma, and he played big minutes last year before he got hurt for a reason. He's very, very valuable, okay? So that's huge. Rob Whaley, when Jalen Hill went down with injury and then Rob got his shot, he more than took advantage of it, okay? He didn't just start helping us. He actually became one of our star players. So he was averaging 25-plus minutes a game. So that's 3 guys right there with tons and tons of experience coming back. Okay, we also had Isaiah Cottrell and Brooklyn Hicks, play 10-plus minutes a game, and they got a lot of experience as well coming back. It's not like those were just guys that were third stringers buried on the end of the bench all season long and only got in blowouts. They got some good experience as well. All right, we add that with Jalen Bedford, who has a lot of experience last year at Oral Roberts. Julian Rishwain, a 6th-year senior. Okay, this is his 4th school. Okay, a lot of experience on this team. And that's really important. It's really important, especially in the Mountain West, because they know what it's like to play in the altitude. They know what it's like in these trap games against Air Force. Okay, they know how it felt to blow these leads in the Thomas and Mack, and how badly they want to just redo that game. Just what it's like playing for UNLV, for Kruger and Kruger's system. I can't speak enough to how important it is to have experience returning. So we have the most experience we've returned in quite some time. Okay, you probably have to go all the way back to Dave Rice's first year before we had this much experience returning. All right, reason number 10. I believe Kevin has to have learned from mistakes. There were just too many things that happened last year that should not have happened, right? Starting the season off, losing to Southern. Look, I know we didn't have a full roster, and that definitely put us at a disadvantage, but we still did not come out that game ready to play. It was bad, okay? I've ranted about that game enough in other episodes. I'm not going to get into it too much now, but not just Southern, but losing to Air Force, the worst home loss in the history of the program. I don't know what the hell that was. We even had quotes from players saying, like, we kind of were taking them lightly or we were looking past them. That is not what you want to hear as a fan. Not what you want to hear. Okay? So I believe Kevin has learned from mistakes. He's addressed it by building by the players he's brought in to improve the roster. Because a lot of the leads we blew last year, like I said, was due to lacking certain players that we needed, which he went out and got. Okay? So Kevin is going to be an improved coach. He's going to learn from mistakes. And that is the 10th and final reason why you can expect this basketball team to be much better this upcoming season. UNLV basketball will make the NCAA tournament. Check back with me in 8 months, okay? I know what I'm talking about. I am very confident about this, okay? So we can revert back to this episode 8 months from now. You'll see that I was right. Okay, quick recap. 10 reasons why the UNLV men's basketball team will be better this upcoming season, will be the best team we've had in over a decade. Number 1, Dedan Thomas Jr. Number 2, carrying over momentum from the previous season. Number 3, our best players on this roster had their best games against the top competition. Number 4, we won't be missing any key players to start the season, hopefully. Number 5, Kevin's first well-rounded, well-constructed, just well-crafted roster. Number 6, depth, top to bottom, players at every position, lots and lots of depth. Sive, this is the biggest team we've had in UNLV history. Lots of big dudes. 8, we have more ball handling help for DJ. We have legit, real guards out there handling the ball who aren't going to be afraid of a full court press. Okay, number 9, more experience returning than we've had in previous teams. And number 10, Kevin Kruger has learned from mistakes. Okay, that's it, guys. I'm really excited for the season. Looking forward to it, and season can't get here soon enough. Have a good one. Talk soon.